Hello again, my name is Brian Cundall, Seminarian for the Diocese of Little Rock, and we're here in front of another one of the icons here at Christ the King. If you enter into the church, this is the icon on the right, and this icon depicts the nativity of Jesus. And so when you look at the icon, you can see all those images and things we immediately know from Christmas time. So you see the angels, the choir of angels, proclaiming that Jesus Christ is born. You see the shepherds in their furry garments out there with the sheep. One of the shepherds appears in the front to be talking to Saint Joseph, the foster father of Jesus. You have Jesus in the middle laying in the manger, where the animals would eat their hay and everything. We have Mary laying down after she's given birth. Up in the very kind of top right corner, or top left if you're looking at it, is the three wise men. You can see the Magi who are far away and on their way. And so a particular aspect of icons is that icons in a way are outside of time. So oftentimes icons can depict multiple scenes all happening at the same time. So an icon isn't necessarily part of linear time. So that's why we can see the wise men, we see the shepherds and the angels declaring that the Christ has been born to the shepherds, and the shepherds visiting Jesus, and Jesus laying in the manger, and Mary laying there too. We see all of these scenes all at the same time. So another important particular aspect of icons, and we've touched on this a little bit, is the canons of iconography. And what the canons of iconography are the particular rules that an icon needs to follow in order to be considered an icon. And so there's many canons of iconography, and we've talked about them in some of the other videos about like inverse perspective, or particular saints need to be depicted particular ways with particular colors or with particular objects they're holding. And so those are all part of the canons or the rules of iconography. Well, a lot of these rules have been kept and written down in what are called artists' manuals. And two of these most famous artist manuals are the Greek Hermeneia and the Russian Podlaniki. And so these two artist manuals kind of have all the rules of how you're to do an icon. And not only the rules of how you're to do an icon, but also the prayer and those things that you should be doing along with the icon, because an icon is not just a painting, but it's also a spiritual expression of the artist. The thing that the canons of iconography cover, or these artist manuals cover, is colors. And so particular colors are often associated with particular things in iconography. These are just a general rule of thumb for colors in icons. They can change and be slight variance or difference, but for the most part, these kind of rules for colors are the same across the board for all icons. And so for him and for all icons, white depicts divinity, purity, light, calm, glory, and power. And so oftentimes you can see, especially Jesus might be dressed all in white, especially after the resurrection. Blue, which is often associated with the Virgin Mary, often represents transcendence, tranquility, and depth. And then red represents incandescence. It's like red hot metal. There's activity, there's movement. And so in this particular icon, you see the Virgin Mary dressed in red. So there's activity, there's movement. She has just given birth to the Christ child. But at the same time, you can see her blue underneath the red. So there's still that tranquility, that depth that's underneath that red hot activity that's in her outer garment. Purple in icons represents kingship or wealth, or is a sign of royal or priestly consecration. Green is often associated with life or vegetation, but is also a symbol of hope and fertility and growth. Brown often is associated with asceticism. So a lot of monks and things like that, especially monks who are out in the desert, will be depicted in brown. Black, as we talked about, there's almost never any black in icons, but black is the total absence of light or night. And then yellow doesn't necessarily have a significant meaning, but it is often attached with the same kind of meanings as white, of the divinity and purity. And so that's why you see that the golden halos or the yellow halos or just a general yellow or gold background. And so that's just a little bit more about icons and a little bit more about this icon in particular. So again, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for our last icon video coming next week.